Look who's tuned in now is Harold the H.
No.
He hasn't got it. Peacock-a-doodle-doo. He's going to tell us about the Ipswich court that convicted the Brisbane Lord Mayor. Can you just give us one more arc? Arc, arc, arc. I think he's getting that level. How are you there, Harold?
Oh, well, thanks. He's getting there, but you know who's tuned in? I can actually see him right now. Don at Kenmore. He's waiting to buy me a coffee. He's one of these groupies. I'll get him to do an arc and send it to you.
Yeah.
Donnie,
I need something to model it off, if anything.
Donnie, baby, give me the arc. All right, now tell us this story about the Brisbane Lord Mayor getting convicted by the Ipswich court.
Yeah, look, back in colonial days, it's surprising who appeared before the magistrates and judges here in the Ipswich courthouse. And you see, in 1863, a man was charged in Ipswich with obtaining goods under false pretences from the licensee of the Shamrock Hotel at Gatton. Now, the licensee was Mr. Jackson Curry. Now, shortly after giving evidence in Ipswich, Curry played a role in the first legal execution in Toowoomba. Now, a Toowoomba constable had the job of escorting a government official from Gatton to Toowoomba, but he wasn't told who it was. And when he was preparing to dismount at the Shamrock Hotel at Gatton, the constable was hailed by Curry. He shouted out, asking if he'd come for the hangman. Now, upon hearing this, the constable called out some profanity, threw the reins of the spare horse over the fence post, and rode for dear life back to Toowoomba. Now, Curry didn't escort the hangman the rest of the way, but he did give him accurate directions, which allowed the historic hanging to go ahead. So there's a piece to history for Gatton there.
Hanging?
Now,
would that be a tough job being a hangman?
Yeah, well, you weren't popular. Not even the constables wanted to be near you. Because if you were the hangman and someone saw that stone you're abused, no one liked death hanging around, do they?
No, not really.
But anyway, the man in this case facing charges in the Ipswich courthouse was Mr. John Smith Bennett. Now, he was charged with obtaining bread, meat, drink and refreshment under false pretences, and he pleaded not guilty. You see, he stayed at the Shamrock Hotel for about 12 days, and during that time his bill became enormous. It included, among many other things, 113 glasses of liquor. That's 10 drinks a day for 12 days, and that's excluding any beer on top of that. So Curry, the publican, he was persuaded to extend the credit on a recommendation from a Toowoomba publican. Now, that publican was Mr. William Fraser of the Queen's Arms Hotel in Rutherford Street, Toowoomba. Fraser would later run unsuccessfully for council. Now, as Bennett ran up his bill in Gatton, he told Curry that Mr. Fraser had guaranteed his expenses. Now, this convinced Curry to allow him to still extend the credit further until it became obvious that money wasn't going to be paid. So Bennett found himself in Ipswich court. Now, he was found guilty, but the jury strongly recommended mercy, and I think that's probably because he was a newly arrived young man of gentlemanly appearance who they thought had been led astray by us colonials. Now, he was sentenced to just 4 months imprisonment with hard labour in the Brisbane jail.
Right.
Now, the truth about John Smith Bennett was that Fraser knew Bennett as the son of wealthy parents in Glasgow, and that his friends were wealthy people as well. Bennett had been a clerk in a bank in Glasgow and was known there to be an excellent character. However, when Bennett arrived in Queensland, Fraser saw him in Brisbane foolishly wasting his money, probably in a pub, and so suggested he come up to and see him in Toowoomba instead. Now, Bennett, he only went as far as Gatton, but he told his new mate that he was expecting a remittance from home of £50. Now, Fraser, therefore, wrote a letter offering to be responsible for his bills on his way to heading up to Toowoomba. But that guarantee was only the amount of £3 and no more. That was certainly a lot less than the debt he ran up getting to Gatton, and the reason why he ended up in court. Now, the really interesting part of what Gatton is, the interesting part about what what Bennett did is after the Ipswich conviction.
Yeah.
See, Bennett went on to become the chief clerk in the Lands Department and the registrar of the Lands Court of Queensland.
Wow.
His father-in-law was a member of Queensland Parliament and Secretary for Public Lands. In other words, his boss. Bennett was elected member of the Coorparoo Shire Council and eventually the mayor of Coorparoo.
Oh.
He died in 1929 and left an estate valued at £12,901. Danny, that's $7.3 million today.
Holy snap.
So, look, Bennett's Coorparoo home, which he built in 1887, is still there, and you can go see it today.
Yeah.
But when you do, remember the story about how a Brisbane mayor was convicted by an Ipswich court and how we got one up on Brisbane even back then.
We do it all the time because you do a great history of Ipswich and there's so many very good stories. Where can we find them, Harold the H? Ark, Peacock?
Yeah, there's over 500 short stories on my website, so go online to historyouthere.com.
A big shout out to your beautiful sister Sophie too, and she's probably standing in the corner going hark, 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 just like that, as they all are around the suburbs.
Yeah, they all do. I'll record Don because he's standing there about to buy me a coffee, and you've got an ark for you.
Yes. All right, mate. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for your time. Always great. Very interesting. And as we say in the business, hark, hark, hark.
Oh, press play?
Of course, you'd wreck.
Download the West Bremer Radio app from the Apple App Store and Google Play Store today. West Bremer Radio, the only station keeping it live and local, right into your hands.